All right. All right. All right. All right. All right. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. Hold on one second. Let me just get everything all set over here. Let me just get my eyes on the Yobe tubes. Let me make sure. Hold on one second. One second. All right. All right. All right. All right. All right. Audio works. Beautiful. Beautiful, ladies and gentlemen. There we go. There we go. All right. Let me just get this all set up over here. Ooh, hold on. It's got that little glitch going on there. Let me fix that real quick. Give me a second, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Happy Thursday, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you guys are having a fantastic day. Hope you guys are having a fantastic day today. All right. All right. All right. All right. Hold on one second. All right. All right. All right. All right. All right. Andrew says good morning and good luck, guys. Good morning, Andrew. And good luck to you as well. Hope you're having a good day. Hope you're having a wonderful day, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you are having a wonderful day. Ooh, hold on. Let me get this over here. All right. All right. Let's see here. Good, good. Legal says good morning. Doubles, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Legal. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing well. All right. Good morning. All right. Beautiful, ladies and gentlemen. Beautiful. How's everybody doing today? Hope you guys are having a fantastic day. It's a beautiful Thursday. It's a beautiful Thursday, ladies and gentlemen. You know what time it is. We're gonna be chilling. We're gonna be chilling, chilling, chilling. You know how it is. Yeesh. How was you guys' day yesterday, and how's you guys' day going today? Put it in the chat. Put it in the chat, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just making sure we're live everywhere. Making sure we're live everywhere, because it was like doing a little thingy there, and I had to make sure that everything is copacetic now. All right, so we're good on Twitch. Let's make sure we're good on Facebook. We should be good everywhere, but I just want to double check. Just want to double check. Right now we're taking a look at CLRO. CLRO, which actually had a nice high a day at 248%. 248% ran up nice and high today at 7:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. It hit 248%. All right. And our scanners actually caught it at 4:06 a.m. this morning, but also caught it yesterday at 5:30 p.m. yesterday. So they had that going on right there. That's what we had going on. All right. So we got that going on right there. We good on the TikTok. We should be good on the TikTok. The tickety tock. The tack tack. Yeesh. Joab says, good morning, Banger Nation and doubles. Good morning, but Joab, good morning, good morning, good morning. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing well. All right, we're just chilling here. All right, and we got a wonderful, wunderbar. $12.83. $12.83. That is the resistance point for this stonk right here. That's one of the resistance points at least. We're going to actually put up a Fibonacci. Alright, so it has a little tiny resistance point at 1283 just before the high day at 1307. Right now, this stock has to break above $10.67. That is a resistance line as well. Then 1163 and 1317 has to hold up above the VWAP at 1004. That is CLRO. CLRO. Let's take a look here. We should be good. Yeah. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's take a look over here at CLRO. CLRO. All right. All right. Andrew says PAVS has high descent movement after split merger buyout. Has decent movement after split merger buyout in the which is the recent news. All right, that's good. We're going to take a look at PAVS in just a second. All right. As of now, let's take a look over here. CLRO, currently up 178%. Had a high day at 248%. Has some unconfirmed Q2 earnings due in 11 days from now. They also had a merger planned in one of their SEC filings. It was stated that they actually have a merger in the works. So they're basically doing that right now. And as of now, they're also currently, they moved up a nice 248%. Hit the high day at $13.17, pulled all the way back since then, and now basically they need to curl. Needs to hold up above the VWAP at $10.04. $10.04. Hold on one second. There we go. Yes, $10.04 has to hold above $10.04 for it to be so much mexy to me. Hold on. Let me get this drink over here. Ooh. Marty says, good morning, Banger Nation. Hello, Joab and Andrew. Andrew said hello to Marty, and as such, Joab also said good morning to Marty. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. So let's take a look over here. CLRO needs to break the pennant and the resistance line at $10.67. $10.67 needs to hold above the VWAPA at $10.04 for it to be somewhat schmexy to me. There we go. All right, there we are. Let's take a look at PAVS. PAVS as of now, all right, has a bit of a double top right over here. Needs to break this little pennant right over here. Has to hold above the VWAP right over here at $9. Has to hold above it for it to be somewhat schmexy to me. All right. Needs to break above the pennant right there. Needs to break above that pennant for it to be somewhat schmexy to me. There we go. So PAVS needs to break the pennant. And hold on, let me get the graffiti pencil activated over here. Let me get all the way over here. Boom. And boom. Has to break above $9.24. And the resistance line at $9.24. needs to hold above the VWAPA at $9 for it to be somewhat schmexy to mya. Needs to do that for it to be somewhat schmexy to mya. As of now, this stock is up 86%. 86%. Has some unconfirmed fiscal year earnings due in 12 days on the 18th of August after market close. So we got that going on right there. Nick says good morning. Double Nick's good morning. Good morning, Nick. Hope you're having a good day. Hope you're having a wonderful day, a fantastic day. And I hope you guys are doing well. Hope everybody's doing well. All right. We're just chilling. There we go. All right. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, be sure to check out our wonderful, 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 wonderful 4-day trial for the real-time alerts and scanners for only $9.99. Link to join us in the description down below, as well as the pinned comment section, so be sure to check that out. We pick a lot of baggers a lot of times. We're just made different, and the early bird gets the cash, the moolah, the loot, the cash, the big bucks, I tell you. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Bobo Beep says, howdy. Howdy, Bobo. He says, here in your Lima Charlie. Copy that, Bobo. There we go. There we go. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah, glad everybody's doing good. Glad everybody's doing good. Glad we got the Banger Nation. The Banger Nation, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, sir. All right. All right. And then Banger Nation, the Banger Nation on TikTok says, hello, hello. Hello to you as well, everybody on the tickety-tacks, tick-the-tack-tacks right there. Hello, hello. Hope everybody's doing good. Hope everybody's doing good. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. All right. Hold on. All right. As such, ladies and gentlemen, also be sure to check out our merch store. We got all sorts of cool stuff in stock on our merch store right over here. We got t-shirts. We got hoodies. We've got cup and handles. We got a little cup and handles right there. We got the cup and handles. We have the stickers. We have tumblers. We have hats. We have all sorts of cool stuff there. So be sure to check it out, ladies and gentlemen. Be sure to check it out. Be sure to check all that out. Show it some love, ladies and gentlemen. Show it some love. And yeah, as of now, we got PAVS right over here. Currently a bit consolidated, just above the VWAP right now. It needs to break above $9.24 for it to be so much schmexy to me, and has to hold above $9. But right now, it looks like it's pulling back below the $9 mark right there. So we'll see what happens. Can it hold above the $9 mark? We shall see. We shall see. Right now, it's poking below it, so not looking too interesting at the moment. Not at the moment. It did look like it had a nice run earlier in the day, but as of now, needs volume right there. Needs some volume for it to be somewhat schmexy to mya. All right, ladies and gentlemen, also be sure to check out our new 3-month deal at a discounted rate of $66.67 charged quarterly. So be sure to check that out as well. Be sure to check that out. It's a limited time offer, so be sure to get it while supplies last, ladies and gentlemen. Be sure to get it while supplies last, because it won't be lasting too long. It's at a nice cheap rate. There you go. Boom. And that's what we got going on. That is what we got going on. All right. So, has to hold. All right. It looks like it curled up a little bit with PAVS. PAVS curled up a little bit. Looks like it's trying to break above the $9.24 line, and it works. It does break above it right now. So, PAVS, as of now, PAVS. All right. Hold on. PAVS actually had a nice run earlier in the day at 6:57 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Had a nice run during the day at 142%. Our scanners actually caught it early in the morning as well as yesterday. So I'm just going to put this here. PAVS, our scanners caught this one yesterday as well as early in the morning today on our private Discord prior to its run up 142%. just broke the resistance at 924. Needs to break the next resistance line at $9.92 for it to be somewhat maxi to me. Alright. That's PAVS right there. Let's take a look at CLRO. CLRO, we also had that appear on our private Discord yesterday. That also appeared on our private Discord yesterday. And then it ran up a nice 248%. 248%.
Doubles.
Yesh. Hold on. What's up? What's up? Alright. So there we are, ladies and gentlemen. There we are. There we are. There we are. Alright. So, let's take a look over here at CLRO. CLRO. Now, CLRO, let's go over here. Our private pre-market Discord scanner caught this yesterday and this morning prior to its run up 248%. 248% right there. Alright. So we got that going on. That is what we got going on right there. Prior to its run of 248%. Needs volume to hold above the VWAPA and break the resistance line at $10.67 for it to be somewhat maxi to mya. There we go. There we go. Another one is WYHG. WYHG. We're going to take a look at that one. WYHG. Hold on, hold on, hold on. There we are. There we go. WYHG had a high day at 181%. Actually, no, excuse me. It was higher than that. It hit 217% earlier in the morning. Hit 217% earlier in the morning. Alright, so WYHG. WYHG. Alright, let me get this over here. WYHG, our Discord, our private Discord, pre-market scanners caught this stock prior to its run up. What was it? 201%? 217%, excuse me. Run up 217%. Currently needs volume to break the hold on 1 second. There we are. $8.88 resistance line for it to be somewhat schmexy to mya. That's WYHG. WYHG. There we go. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get this share party going on. Let's get a share party going on. Let's get to 200, 200, 200, 200. Let's get to 200, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Hold on one sec, one sec. All right. All right, there we are. CLRO, we got that. All right. One second, one second. All right.
Let's like up the stream.
Let's get a like going on.
Let's share it up. Let's get more people in the chat.
Uh-huh. All right. So we got that going on right there. That is what we got going on right there. All righty. Ooh, let me get the announcements out, by the way. Let me get the announcements out over here. Yeesh. All right, all right, all right. All right. All right. All right. All right. There we go. Let's just get all the announcements up here. Give me one second. One second. There we are. There we are. All right. All right, all right, all right. Hold on one second, one second. Let me just get this over here. Boom. There we are. All right. All right. All right. Here we are. All right. All right. One sec. There we go. There we are. Wonderful. All right. There we go. There we are. There we are. Hold on one sec. All right. All right. There we go. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's take a look at some other stocks here. Let's take a look at some other stocks here. We got CLRO, WYHG, PAVS. And ladies and gentlemen, if you have any other stocks you want us to take a look at, put it in the chat. Put it in the chat, ladies and gentlemen. Let me take a look over here. Let's take a look at CELZ. 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 Let's take a look over here. Hold on, hold on. There we are. All right. CELZ. Let's take a look. CELZ had a nice run earlier in the day. Ran up nice 88% over here. Currently, as of now, needs to break the pennant. It is currently at 65% now. Pulled back a little bit. Shot up nice and early. Then proceeded to pull back just a little bit. Kind of consolidated just a little bit over here. Let's get some support and resistance lines over here. All right, boom, right there. All right, and let's break. It has to break above the $1.13 mark right there. $1.13 for it to be somewhat schmexy to mya. There we go. There we go. Has to hold above the $1.13 mark. Has to use that as a support. Break above $1.19 for it to be somewhat schmexy to mya. That's what we got going on right there. That is what we got going on. Hold on 1 second. 1 second. There we go. So, CLRO formed a pennant. Needs to break the pennant and the resistance line at $1.13 for it to be somewhat schmexy to mya. There we go. There we go. All right. That's CLRO. CLRO. Not CLRO, excuse me. That is CELZ. CELZ. Let's take a look at CLRO. See what it's doing right now. Oh my, it just curled off the pennant right there. Just curled off the pennant. Broke above the $11.63 resistance line. Formed its own resistance line right over here at $12.01. $12.01. Alright, so that's CLRO. CLRO. CLRO curled up off the pennant and broke resistance at $11.63. $11.63. Needs to break the next high day at, excuse me, the next resistance line at $12.01. $12.01 for it to be so much schmexy to me. All right. And CLRO hit 230% actually earlier. So there we go. CLRO. Alright. Last I checked, the highest was 248%. Alright. CLRO. Now up 230%. That's how high it hit. Now it's currently 198, but it hit 230%. There we go. There we go right there. So we got that going on. That is what we got going on right there. Alrighty. Alrighty. Okay. Let's see here. Let's take a look at WYHG. WYHG, there's a China stock right here. Alright. Alright, there's a China stock. Needs to break the $7.90 line over here for it to be somewhat schmexy to me. WYHG needs to break the pennant and the resistance line at $7.90. $7.90 for it to be somewhat schmexy to mya. So I have to break those two things right there. Alright, that's WYHG. Let's take a look at SURG. SURG SURG, let's zoom in the room over here. SURG had a bit of a resistance that formed right over here at 42 cents. But also, let's get this over here. Boom and boom right here. Needs to break the pennant right over here for it to be somewhat schmexy to me. There we go. There we go. Needs to break the pennant right there. Needs to break the pennant. SURG needs to break the pennant. Alright. Needs to break the resistance line. And the resistance line at 39 cents. 39 cents for it to be somewhat schmexy to me. Alright. Alright. There we go. That's SURG. SURG. Alright. There we are. There we are. Alright. SURG had a nice run up 84%. Actually, excuse me, 87%. But yeah, that's what we got going on right now. So, WYHG, what's it doing right there? WYHG curling its way on up right now. Let's see what's going on. Oh my, curling up a little bit. Broke the resistance at $7.90. WYHG broke resistance at $7.90. Needs to break the next resistance line at $9.07 for it to be somewhat schmexy to me. There we go. There we go. Alright, and let's get a share party going, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get a share party going on. Let's get the 400, 400, 400, 400. Let's get it. Let's get it, let's get it, let's get it. Hold on, ladies and gentlemen. Alright. There we are, there we are. Alright. There we go, there we go. Alright, let's get a share party going on, ladies and gentlemen. Let's like it up. Let's give it a share party. Let's get the 400, 400, 400, 400. Let's get it. Come on now. Alright. Let's take a look over here, see what else we got going on. Alright. Alright, let's see. Let's take a look at... Hold on, let's actually get a look at the requests over here. One sec. Alright, alright, alright. Alright, hold on one sec, one sec. Alright. SURG. SURG, there we go. Oh, excuse me. There we go. SURG, let's take a look at that. Someone requested SURG. SURG as of now, not yet a bagger, but SURG did have some movement going on there. Had some movement. Currently, as of now, consolidated just above the support at 39 cents. Needs to break above 40 cents for it to be schmexy to me. That's what it really needs to do right there. SURG, SURG. Our scanners caught our private Discord scanners. All right, our private Discord scanners actually caught this one. Yesterday. as well as this morning prior to its run up 87% today. That's what we got going on. There we go. There we go. All right, all right, all right. There we go. There we go. All right. All right. So let's take a look over here. Let's take a look at ENSC. ENSC has a rather heavy float at 15 million, but the volume is 121 million. So let's take a look at ENSC. ENSC. All right, ENSC. Oh, ENSC. There you go. There we are. Beautiful. Okay, so ENSC had a shot up over here, pulled back a little bit, consolidated below the VWAP, and now needs to break above the pennant right over here. So ENSC, as of now, up 76%. ENSC up 76%. Needs to break the pennant and the VWAP at 65 cents for it to be somewhat schmexy to me. There we go, there we go, there we go. Alright, there we are, ladies and gentlemen, there we are. Alright, alright, alright. Hold on 1 second, 1 second. Hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. Someone requested INLF. INLF. Let's take a look at INLF. Choppy, choppy, choppy. Not looking too schmexy over here. Let's put this over here. INLF. Choppy. Price action. With low volume. Not schmexy. Not looking too schmexy to me. Meh. Not interesting. PAVS. PAVS. Let's see how PAVS is holding up. PAVS kind of consolidated. It's kind of consolidated as of now. Consolidated along the $9.24 support line right there. PAVS consolidated along the $9.24 support line. Needs to break the pennant and the resistance line at 992 for it to be somewhat schmexy to me. Needs to break above 992 right there. Alright, alright, alright. Alright. Let's take a look at ENSC. How's ENSC holding up? Alright, let's see here. Let's see here. ENSC just broke above the VWAP a little bit. Poked above it just a little. I'm going to put some support and resistance lines over here. Boom. Right there. And right there. Boom. There we go. Alright. Yeesh. Alright, alright, alright. So, there we go. Let's get to ENSC. ENSC. Huh? Oh, yeah. Oh, and ladies and gentlemen, by the way, be sure to check out our Discord for a nice $9.90 for a 4-day trial for only $9.99. Link to join us in the description down below, as well as the pinned comment section. So be sure to check it out, because we pick a lot of baggers a lot of times. We're just made different, and the early bird gets the cash, the moolah, the loot's the cash. Oh, the big bucks, I tell you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's see over here. has to break above 65 cents, which is where the VWAP is, has to break above that 65-cent mark, and then has to break above 67 cents, 75 cents, and then the high day at 87 cents for it to be somewhat schmexy to me. That's what it's got to do right there for ENSC. All right, ENSC needs to really break that VWAP right there. That's ENSC right there. ENSC needs to break the VWAP at 65 cents, 65 cents for it to be somewhat schmexy to me. There we go, there we go. Needs to break the VWAP at 65 cents, as well as the pennant for it to be somewhat schmexy to me. CLRO, what's CLRO doing right now? Let's take a look. CLRO curling its way back up, curling its way on up, pulled back a little bit, now curling its way on up towards the resistance at $11.63, and looks like it's breaking above it slightly. So we'll see what happens there. We shall see what happens there. CLRO, CLRO, all right, curling back up 220%, testing the resistance line at 1163. Oh, excuse me, it just now broke it. Broke the resistance line 1163. Needs to break the high a day at $13.17 for it to be somewhat schmexy to me. There we go. There we go. Alright, alright, alright. There we go, there we go, there we go. Alright. Okay. Alrighty, alrighty, alrighty. So far, so yeah. Yeah. So let's get a share party going, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get a share party going on. Let's get a share party popping off over here. Alright. Alright. SURG. We got that. Alright. Let's get a share party going on. Let's get to 600. 600, 600, 600. Let's get to 600, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. There we go. There we go. Alright. There we are. There we are. Alright. So, as of now, CLRO had a nice move upward. We're going to take a look at this one later. We're going to check on this one later. ENSC. Let's take a look over here. ENSC. All right, still needs to break the VWAP at 65 cents. ENSC still needs to break the VWAP at 65 cents for it to be somewhat schmexy to me. Boom, there we go. There we go. Alright, alright, alright. Alright. There we are, there we are, there we are. Hold on 1 second. 1 second. Alright. 1 sec, ladies and gentlemen. There we are, there we are. Hold on 1 second. Alright. Alright. Yes. Alright, there we go, there we go. Alright, so let's take a look over here. CLRO, actually, Let's take a look at CELZ. CELZ, how's CELZ holding up? It looks like it's curling its way on up off the pennant right now. Broke the $1.19 resistance line, moving all the way towards the $1.27 resistance line right there. All right, and curling. All right, CELZ, CELZ, curling off the pennant and broke the resistance line. Needs to break the next resistance line at $1.27 for it to be somewhat schmexy to mya. There we go. There we go. Needs to break that $1.27 resistance line right there. All right. Let's see what else we got here. All right. We got FVN. This is a 2 million float stock, 60,000 volume, so I'm not looking, I don't think there's going to be much to say about this one. Yep, very choppy. On a choppy uptrend on low volume, that's really all I can say about this stock. Choppy uptrend, low volume, FVN. FVN on a choppy uptrend on very low volume right there. Not looking too schmexy to me. As of now, let's take a look at CELZ. CELZ, what's going on there? What's going on? What is going on over there? All right, needs to break above $1.27. Needs to break $1.27. CELZ. CELZ needs to break the resistance line at $1.27. For it to be somewhat schmexy to mya. There we go. There we go. All right. All right, all right, all right. So there we go. That's what we got going on, folks. That is what we got going on. Let's get a share party going. Let's get to a nice 800. 800, 800, 800. Let's get to 800, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. Yes, sir. All right. All right, all right, all right. All right. PAVS, how's that doing right there? PAVS, still somewhat consolidated. It's curling a little bit. Slight curl off the pennant, just a little bit, but it needs to break above the $9.92 line for it to still be schmexy to mya. So, PAVS on a slight curl off the pennant. Needs to still break resistance at $9.92 for it to be somewhat schmexy to me. Let's take a look at the requests over here. Let's take a look at the requests. Hold on 1 second. 1 second, 1 second, 1 second. Someone requested CLRO. CLRO as of now, honestly, had a nice curl up off the pennant right here. Had a nice curl up off the pennant. Boom. Alright. But formed another pennant so far. And looks like it's pulling back towards the support line at $10.67. Needs to break the pennant and break above $11.63. So CLRO formed another pennant. Alright. Formed another pennant. Needs to break the pennant and the resistance line at $11.63 for it to be somewhat schmexy to mya. There we go, there we go, there we go. Alright, alright, alright. Alright. So that's really what we got going on right there. Has to hold above that $10.67 support line. Needs to break above $11.63. Needs to break those areas right there for it to be somewhat schmexy to mya. There we go. There we go. All right, all right, all right. Hold on 1 second. There we are. All right. Now, someone requested a couple of other ones. CELZ. All right. Hold on. Alright. Hold on 1 second. Let's make sure everything's copacetic on X and everywhere else. Yeah, we're good. We're good. Alright, good. Good. Alright, so CELZ now curling its way on up. Curling. CELZ curling towards $1.27. Still curling up off the pennant right there. Alright, CELZ curling up off the pennant. Testing the next resistance line at $1.27 right there. Alright, so that's what we got going on right there. ENSC, how's ENSC holding up? ENSC curling its way on up. Nice. Alright, curling up towards 75 cents right now. ENSC curling up towards the resistance at 75 cents. Curling up towards the resistance at 75 cents. Moving and grooving. Alright. That's what we got there. That is what we got going on right there. Alright. Alright. Now ENSC was another stunk that was caught on the Discord private scanner. ENSC caught on the private Discord scanner this morning at 8:03 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, prior to its run up 137%. All right. There we go. There we are, ladies and gentlemen. There we are. All right. There we are. All right, let's see what else we got here. What else we got? Someone requested AZI. Let's take a look at AZI. Garbaggio. Ugh, not gonna lie. I'd be lying if I didn't say this was Garbaggio. Look at that. Not a lot of movement going on there. AZI. Choppy. Price action. And indecisive wicks with low volume. Not schmexy to me. Let's take a look, see what else we got. INLF. Someone requested INLF. Choppy, garbage, not looking schmexy. INLF, choppy, and price action, choppy price action. With indecisive wicks and low volume. Not schmexy to mya. That's another one. It is also below the VWAP. Not looking schmexy at all. WYGH. Someone requested WYGH. Is that even a stock?
It's at HG, WYHG.
WYHG?
Yeah.
Ah. WYHG as of now still consolidated below the resistance line at $7.90. It's still above its VWAP, but it is still consolidated right there. All right, so WYHG, WYHG, WYHG. All right, consolidated below the resistance line at $7.90. Needs more volume to break the pennant. Otherwise, meh, you know how it goes. PAVS, PAVS. Let's take a look over here. PAVS is still kind of consolidated as well. It's still a little bit consolidated. Needs to really break above that $9.92 mark, but it's currently consolidated along the $9.24 support line right there. So PAVS still consolidated along the $9.24 support line. Needs volume to curl and break the pennant. That's PAVS as of now. PAVS. All right. And someone requested MGRX. MGRX. Let's see how it's doing. MGRX is, it's okay, I guess, but not really interesting as of now. It's just a pennant here. Really, that's it. Honestly, it's pretty much just a pennant as of now. It is above the VWAP, I will give it that, but as of now, Let's see about a support line over here. Some resistance. Yeah. As of now, MGRX is consolidated. MGRX consolidated. Needs volume to break the pennant and the resistance line at 60 cents for it to be somewhat schmexy to mya. There we go. That's what we got going on right there. That is what we got going on for the stock right here. All right. Let's see what else we got here. What else we got? What else we got? Let me add them. All right. Hold on one second, ladies and gentlemen. Hold on one second. All right. Let's get a share party going, ladies and gentlemen, by the way. Let's get the share party going. Let's get to 1200. 1200, 1200, 1200. Let's get to 1200, ladies and gents. All right. Let's get to 1200. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. There we go. Okay. Somebody requested SURG. Let's see how SURG is holding up right now. SURG is starting to curl. The stock was found on the private pre-market Discord as well. So honestly, it was found just before, like very early in the market. Very early in the morning this morning. SURG. Alright, trying to curl off the pennant. Needs to break above the 40-cent resistance line for it to be somewhat schmexy to mya. SURG. SURG. Trying to curl off the pennant. Needs to break resistance at $2.40 for it to be so much Mexi to me. There we go. There we go. All right, all right, all right. All right. Okay. Someone requested CELZ. Oh, hold on. WYHG. WYHG curling its way on up right now. There we go. WYHG curling. Broke the resistance at 790. Now moving towards the next resistance at 907 right there. So WYHG curling off the pennant and moving towards the next resistance. Hold on. All right. At $9.07. That's what we got going on there for WYHG. WYHG. That's what we got going on right there. That's what WYHG's got going on. All right. There we are. There we are. There we are. All right. Alrighty, alrighty, alrighty. So, let's take a look over here. Let's get a share party going. Let's get the 1300, 1300, 1300, 1300. Alright. Actually, excuse me, 1400. 1400, ladies and gentlemen. There we go. But yeah, ladies and gents, that's what we got going on, folks. That is what we got going on. Alright. Let's take a look at SOUX. SOUX. Choppy. Choppy, choppy, choppy. SOUX. SOUX. SOUX choppy with low volume. Not schmexy to mya. Needs to break the VWAPA at $16.21 with some serious volume for it to be so much maxi to me, but otherwise, not interesting. Not interesting to me. Alright, alright, alright. There we go, there we go. Alright, someone requested INLF. INLF. Still choppy garbage. Yeah, it hasn't changed from then to now, honestly. INLF still choppy, still garbage. Not looking schmexy. INLF still very choppy and consolidated with indecisive wicks and low volume. Currently actually down 16%, so this one is not schmexy at all to me. Not schmexy, no. Low volume, not schmexy at all. Pure garbaggio. Alright. Alright, someone requested CELZ. Actually, you know, before we do that, WYHG, see how WYHG is doing. WYHG still curling its way on up. Still needs to break above $9.07, but still curling its way on up nonetheless. WYHG still curling nicely. Needs to break the resistance at $9.07 for it to be so much maxi to mya. There we go. There we go. All right, all right, all right. Hold on 1 second. 1 second. Let's get a share party going. Let's get to 1500. 1500, 1500, 1500. We're just about 4 minutes away from the bell. The bell. The bell. It deafens me. All right. Let's take a look at CLRO. CLRO, see how our little friend there is doing. CLRO testing the resistance at 1163. CLRO testing resistance at 1163. Testing resistance at $11.73 for it to be somewhat schmexy to me. Otherwise, man, not very. Well, it's just It's just you know? Bad points, just Alright. Needs to break above that 1163, then has to break above that higher day at $13.17 for it to really be schmexy to me. You know what I mean? Ooh. That's some good orange juice right there. Let's take a look, see what else we got. What else do we got right there? Alright. Let's see here. Alright, alright, alright. Okay. Up, CLRO just broke above 1163. CLRO. CLRO broke resistance. Needs to keep curling up towards the high of day at $13.17 for it to be somewhat schmexy to me. There we go. There we go. Alright, alright, alright. Alright, 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 alright. Alright, there we go, there we go. Broke above 1163, needs to now break through the high of day at 1317 for it to be somewhat schmexy to me. Otherwise, meh. We'll see what happens. We shall see what happens. Let's see. Alright. Alright, alright, alright. Someone requested... Hold on. Let's see here. Someone requested MGRX. MGRX. Let's take a look at MGRX. Consolidated. Consolidated. It's still got that panic going on. But it's consolidated as of now.
Seconds to the bell.
Yeah, 15 seconds to the bell right there. MGRX. MGRX. Still consolidated. And needs more volume to move. Needs volume to move. Otherwise, you know how it goes. You don't know how it goes. Mangoceuticals shares are trading higher after the company announced its merger with partners wholly owned subsidiary Nuclear Energy USA has signed an MOU with the state of Utah Office of Energy Development to explore a siting of a nuclear test reactor at the Utah San Rafael Energy Lab. So that's what they got going on. And Andrew says, ding ding, yes sir. Yes sir, the bell go ringy dingy and make the wee woo, yes sir. Alright, Andrew says we open for business, yes sir. Yes sir, yes sir, yes sir. Alrighty, alrighty, alrighty. Let's see how it's going. Let's see how it's going. Let's take a look at CLRO. I want to take a look at CLRO. Sell off. I mean, it tracks. It makes sense. Makes sense. It did move up quite nicely. So yeah, no, that tracks. That tracks. All right, let's take a look at another stock here. Let's take a look at another stock. Let's take a look at WYHG. WYHG. Hold on. Let me see here. Oh, WYHG up 164%. All right, there we go. Now WYHG. WYHG. Hold on. Ooh, is that in? No, 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 no. It had 181 at one point, but it's still moving. It's moving closer to that $9.07 resistance line. WYHG. WYHG still moving closer to the resistance line. All right. WYHG still moving close to the resistance line. Needs volume to break above $9.07 resistance line for it to be schmexy to me out. But it is moving. It's moving towards it. There we go. That's what I like. That's what I like. All right. Let's see. CELZ. CELZ. Excuse me. CELZ. There we are. Andrew says small caps putting in work. There you go, man. There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have any stonks you want us to take a look at, put it in the chat. Put it in the chat, ladies and gentlemen. Put it in the chat. Woo. Let's break this pennant over here. Oh my, broke above the $1.19 resistance line right there. CELZ. CELZ. Curling off the pennant. And broke the resistance line. Needs to break 127. Break the next resistance line at 127 for it to be somewhat schmexy to mia. There we go. There we go. All right. All right. All right. All right. All right. Let's see what else we got going on today. What else we got? What else we got? Let me add them. Let me add them. All right. Hold on. 1 second. 1 second. All right. Yeah. ENSC. ENSC. Let's see how ENSC is doing right here. ENSC currently breaking the, well, forming a descending wedge right here, actually. ENSC forming a descending wedge. Can it break above the VWAP at 65 cents? ENSC forming a descending wedge. Can it curl and break the VWAP? We shall see. We shall see. At 65 cents. We shall see. We shall see what happens. All right. And this is ENSC Biosciences shares, which is trading higher after the company announced the acquisition of CY Biopharma and up to $77 million in private financing. So they got that going on. ASPN. ASPN curling its way on up slightly right over here. Slight curl on up right there. Aspen Aerogels shares are trading higher after the company reported better than expected Q2 sales results and issued Q3 guidance above estimates, currently up 51% with a conference call that just concluded and Q2 earnings released today before the market opens. So that's what we got going on right there for ASPN. ASPN on the uptrend, up 53 cents. Excuse me, 53%, not 53 cents. Up 53%. All right. Let's get some support and resistance lines. Bop, right here. Right there. Boom. All right. Needs to break $7.76. Needs to break the high of day at $7.76 for it to be so much mexy to me. There we go. That's ASPN. ASPN. All right. Oh, also has a heavy float, low volume. I should probably put that in there as well. All right. Mohammed asks for ENSC. ENSC. Let's take a look. Let's continue. ENSC looks like it's trying to curl off the descending wedge. Needs to break that 65-cent resistance line right there. Let's see what goes on there. We shall see. We shall see. ENSC. ENSC Biosciences shares, again, they're trading higher after the company announced an acquisition of a biopharmaceutical company and up to $77 million in private financing with unconfirmed Q2 earnings due in 11 days on August 17th after the market close. It currently formed a bit of a descending wedge. Now it needs to break above the 65-cent resistance line right there. So we'll see what happens with it. We shall see what happens. ENSC needs volume to break the VWAPA at 65 cents for it to be somewhat schmexy to me. There we go. There we go. All right. All right. Let's take a look over here. WYHG seems to be moving. WYHG on its way up, just broke above $9.07, climbing. All right, WYHG climbing its way on up right now. WYHG climbing on up and broke above the resistance at $9.07. Needs volume to break the next resistance at $10.52, which is the next resistance right there, for it to be somewhat schmexy to me. There we go. There we go. There we go. That's what we got going on right there. All right, all right, all right. All right. Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's pretty much it from me. So, thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, as well as ring that bell icon to stay notified when new videos are uploaded. And remember to share, because sharing is caring, ladies and gentlemen. Sharing is caring. So be sure to check that out, ladies and gentlemen, because we pick a lot of baggers a lot of times. We are just made different, and the early bird gets the cash, the moolah, the loot, the cashola, the big bucks, I tell you. And ladies and gentlemen, be sure to check us out on our YouTube channel at CoachNickMoney, at CoachNickMoney. You can find us there on our YouTube channel, where we have all sorts of live streaming, stock reviews, stock analysis, all sorts of long form videos, short form videos. We even have all sorts of cool shorts and stuff like that. All right, all sorts of lovely shorts, some of which are funny in nature, some of which are entertaining in nature, some of which are informative in nature, and some of which are motivational in nature. We got all sorts of stuff like that. All right, and of course, ladies and gentlemen, you can find us on our X.com, aka Twitter, at CoachNickMoney, at At CoachNickMoney, where we do all sorts of live streaming and stock reviews and stock analysis there as well. You can find us on our Twitch at CoachNickMoney. At CoachNickMoney, where we do all sorts of live streaming. You can find us on our Facebook at CoachNickMoney. At CoachNickMoney, where we do all sorts of other wonderful, cool stuff there, where we do lots of live streaming and stock reviews and stock analysis there as well. And of course, you can find us on our TikTok, Tiki-Taki, aka the Tac Tac. The Tac Tac. You can find us there at DBL Nicks. At DBL NICKS, and the screen name is Coach Nick Money. Money, 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 money. Money! Yes. So you can find us there. We do all sorts of cool stuff. Alright, we like to chill there. We chill. Alright. And of course, you can find us on our Instagram and threads at CoachNickMoney. At CoachNickMoney, where we do all sorts of other cool stuff. Like, for example, we got stock reviews and stock analysis there as well. So, yeah, that's what we got going on. That is what we got going on. So, yeah. Also, ladies and gentlemen, be sure to stay tuned for at 1:30 p.m. for Power Play, hosted by the legend himself, Coach Nick Money, as he traverses the stock market prior to the Power Hour. And what he likes to do is he likes to basically take a look at some stonks. He likes to take a look at stonks and basically, just keep an eye on the stocks right there and just give his honest review and analysis on said stocks right there. So he likes to do that. And then what he likes to do while he's waiting for the stocks to simmer on high heat with a little bit of paprika, a little bit of sazon, a little bit of cumin, all that good stuff right there, is he likes to basically just get some dubs for the community of Fortnite. So that's what he likes to do right there. That is what he likes to do. So be sure to check it out, ladies and gentlemen. Be sure to check it out. All right. So that's pretty much what we got going on. And by the way, ENSC moving on up, shot up like a rocket just now, up 132%, ladies and gentlemen. Just had to put that one out there. Oh yes. ENSC, hold on, let me just put this up here. ENSC. All right. Shot up 135%. All right. There we go. There we go. All right. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, quick thing before we wrap up. If you guys have been watching and you're serious about trading small caps, don't just sit on the outside trying to piece it together. We've got a 4-day full access pass for only $9.99, as well as a 3-month pass at a discounted rate of $66.67 per month charged quarterly. So be sure to check that out, and it's full access. So you come inside, you get to see how we actually operate live. You get to see how we structure trade ideas, how we map levels, how we think about risk, how we handle momentum. And of course, you get the next day early watch list, as well as 24/7 market news flow, pre-market, regular hours, and after hour scanners. The news flow, by the way, is actually very wonderful. It has hyperlinks to the actual articles right over here, as well as a synopsis of what goes on within said article, and hyperlinks to the tickers that are affiliated with the news within said article. We have our pre-market, regular hours, and after hour scanners built with the ticker, price, volume, float, change in percentage, whether the stock has moved up or down, as well as the time in which it was scanned, and hyperlinks to look into each and every single one of the stocks that we got that we're looking at on the scanner. So be sure to check that out as well, ladies and gentlemen, because hey, that's a lot of information at the touch of a button, at the touch of your fingertips right there. That's it. At the touch of a button, all you do is just you get due diligence right there. Bada bing, bada boom, wonderful for research purposes and all that good stuff right there. All right, and of course, you'll see our ticker tape built to catch stocks when they're starting to heat up, but before they go parabolic, also built in with hyperlinks as well, so you can learn more about the stock and do your own due diligence. Because, ladies and gentlemen, we don't do noise, we do structure. And if that's how you want to approach this market, grab the 4-day pass or the 3-month pass and come see it live. So, link to join is in the description down below, as well as the pinned comment section, so be sure to check that out. And when you come in, let us know you saw us on the stream. We'd love to hear from you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's pretty much it for me. Much love. It's Double Nicks. I love you guys. I'll see you at 1:30 p.m. for Power Play. All right, ladies and gentlemen, peace out.